You guys see this video? Yeah, that was me the day Overwatch 2 released. I was really just saying there that Overwatch 2 really just felt like Overwatch 1.5. And man, people called me a madman, they called me a hater, and I was like, yo, listen bros, Overwatch 2 was supposed to be the PvE expansion. What the hell is this PvP thing that we're getting? And with some of the recent Blizzard layoffs that happened in January, and some of the ex-developers coming out and talking with journalists, there might be some indication that PvE content in Overwatch might be officially dead. I don't know if you guys remember, but Overwatch 2 was supposed to be the PvE campaign that was supposed to run alongside Overwatch 1. So they were going to be two completely different entities. And Overwatch 2 was supposed to have a full campaign mode with replayable levels and customizable skill trees, you know, the entire shebangle for a PvE experience. So when Overwatch 2 first released, they promised that, hey, we're just going to give you the PvP stuff for now, and the PvE stuff, the story mode, the campaign, we'll give you that later. Don't worry about it, guys. You know, for me, that felt pretty rushed, to be honest. And just like a lot of people back in 2022, I was kind of hopeful, you know, I was like, you know what, we'll just let them do their thing. But then in 2023, the Overwatch developers came out and said pretty clearly, like, hey, PvE, everything we promised, the full campaign mode, that's probably not going to be feasible. That's not going to happen, unfortunately.
With everything we've learned about what it takes to operate this game at the level that you deserve, it's clear that we can't deliver on that original vision. What that means is that we won't be delivering that dedicated hero mode with talent trees.
They didn't want to work too much in the background and wanted to prioritize basically the live service game, you know, the thing that made them popular in the first place. So they wanted to put the brakes a little bit on the PvE development and just focus more on the PvP side and just keep coming up with updates for the game, which, you know, I guess it makes sense. And now with hindsight being 2020, looking at Overwatch and the way the game is built, I kind of understand why they wanted to not prioritize PvE at the time, because, you know, developing PvE content for a game that's centered and balanced around PvP is kind of weird, to be honest. It's just hard to do. Not impossible, but it's just hard to do overall. So back then they mentioned that, hey, we're not going to give you a full campaign anymore, but we are going to give you story missions, right? Every certain couple of months, we're going to keep releasing PvE content for you to experience and enjoy, and you know, everyone's happy, right? We all get the fun experiences. And to be fair, they at least did try with the story missions, right? They did release an Overwatch 2 Invasion bundle, which gave you access for only $15 to a couple of story missions, and this is all going to come from word of mouth, because I didn't really play this or was really interested in it in the first place, but according to what I'm reading from the majority of the comments, you know, it was a pretty bland and linear action game mode, right, where the bots were just waiting for you at certain areas to fight, and then eventually there's a boss at the end, and it was basically just some recycled scrap material from the canceled PvE experiences. A lot of people were just calling it, you know, Overwatch Archives 1.5. And remember guys, you could get that whole experience for $15, unfortunately. And the biggest problem that people saw with this PvE expansion is that, you know, you got 30 minutes of game time, you know, 30 minutes of storytelling, and nothing worth replaying. So it was basically just a one-off mission that once you complete it, it's just like, yeah, okay, I guess we're done here. A lot of people were actually arguing that instead of getting story missions, they would have much rather preferred, you know, just getting a cinematic or just like a short or something to make it more, you know, interesting and fun to digest. So why are we talking about all these past events, and how does that correlate to the present times? Like, what do we care about that now? Well, a couple of ex-developers actually came out and started talking with Kotaku. You guys know Kotaku, everyone's favorite news gaming website. Not really. But they think that the story missions, which was already a gutted down version of the promised PvE campaign, might have just been gutted as well. So according to a bit of back and forth messaging between the two, Overwatch was intending to drop 3 story missions every 18 months, so like a story mission every 6 months. And while they did release the Overwatch Invasion bundle, which was magnifique, according to what was said, Blizzard really wanted a home run with these story missions because they wanted to justify putting even more effort into the PvE stuff. But unfortunately, they kind of missed the mark here in terms of how many copies were sold and the overall player sentiment, right? And of course, if you just, I'm not going to say that they half-assed it, but if you give an underwhelming experience for players during your first campaign release, they're going to be pretty disappointed, right? So maybe if you just go all out and try to impress them, you know, that might probably change the sentiment. So you basically just set yourself up for failure, and then you gave yourself a reason as to why you shouldn't continue the PvE content. And also, according to all of that, one of the main complaints that I heard that the developers were talking about was this so-called magical standard called Blizzard quality. And a lot of the things that they were working on and they were presenting to the higher-ups, apparently all those concepts would just get shut down because they didn't meet Blizzard quality. You know, that high standard that Blizzard is totally known for these days. Which apparently meant that a lot of these developers were just basically working on the same thing over and over again, trying to improve the quality and just basically get the okay for them to be able to release more story missions. And from what I understand, from what they mentioned here on the little article, is that a lot of the content is already finished, right? A lot of it is fully playable. Some are still in the concept era, but you know, a lot of it just kept getting pushed back by the higher-ups because it didn't meet Blizzard quality. And they also mentioned that if it wasn't for the higher-ups always putting a stop on their plans and just never giving them the green light, if it weren't for that, the PvE content would have been released years ago. So it's almost like at some point during the development cycle, Blizzard just realized like, hey, maybe PvE wasn't the best idea whatsoever. Our game is PvP focused, it's esports oriented, it's like competitive, maybe going like the completely 180 route and making it more co-op and friendly and, you know, just like this whole PvE experience, maybe that was just a bad play. So let's just kind of just quiet quit the PvE stuff and then just keep working on the live game and keep working on improving our competitive area. And with the developers always being shut down because their work never really meets Blizzard quality, to then now the developers, a lot of them just being laid off, well, it really just like, it begs the question, like what's going to happen with PvE content in Blizzard and in Overwatch? Are they going to do something with it, or is it just going to be like another speck in dust? Like, are they just going to like pretend it never happened? And if they do decide to do that, then what was the whole point of renaming your game Overwatch 2 in the first place? It's like you promised a new game with new stuff, and then at the end of the day, you're like, you know, we're just going back to the old stuff. We'll keep the new name though. One of the final things that they did mention was that PvP and PvE seemed almost unrealistic to work in tandem because you would need twice the amount of people working on the game. You know, and apparently you would need two groups of 400 people in order to efficiently operate this. And what, 400 people working on a single side, which is like the PvP or the PvE. I'm like, damn, that's a lot of numbers. Like, how many game developers are there? I know that there's so many other massively successful games that run with like a skeleton crew basically, but they still do it successfully. It really just makes me wonder, like, what are those 400 people doing? Like, I'm not a game developer. Maybe they are necessary, but you know, gaming companies, gaming studios, AAA studios, they're always known for overstaffing and then just having a lot of people with not much to do. That's just always been a thing. And even the person that was talking with Kotaku here mentions it pretty clearly. I don't think that's true. I don't think they needed that many people. There were already too many cooks in the kitchen. So yeah, Blizzard really was at one time the pinnacle of gaming, the biggest company in the world that everyone just aspired to be, and that Blizzard quality title used to be something that was so coveted. But now it's just like, whatever, man. Their company has really gone downhill over the years. And listen, guys, I just want to clarify, I'm not really an Overwatch hater. I play Overwatch day of release. I've been a Blizzard fanboy for the longest time, or at least I used to be. Like, heck, you know when you go to the mall and you see those creepy dudes that only wear t-shirts with like the wolves in them? Yeah, that was me, but with Blizzard merch and like the For the Horde t-shirts and all of that. But over the past few years, honestly, they've done so many bad stuff. I just don't care about them anymore. I really don't. But yeah, that's all I really want to talk about with you guys today. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.